The views and opinions
and otherwise wisecrack remarks
in this podcast
are solely those
of our highly caffeinated hosts.
They do not represent the opinions
of Fairchild Air Force Base leadership,
the 92nd Public Affairs Office,
or the United States Air Force.
Any reference to commercial products, companies, or services does not imply federal endorsement.
You've been warned.
Just hang on 1 second, I gotta check the boom.
Come on!
1-7 contact, boom interphone.
Thank you, that was beautiful.
Welcome back, Team Fairchild. I'm Staff Sergeant Benjamin W. Stratton, and
I'm Captain David, no middle initial today, Leopis.
And we're about to fuel your connection with Fairchild's weekly podcast, The Boom. This week on The Boom, we'll talk about Fairchild happenings, tobacco use, Afghanistan, and social media, as well as what's happening downtown. But stay tuned, a lot of great things happening today on The Boom.
Just hang on 1 second, I gotta check the boom.
Come on!
All right, Fairchild happenings is straight from your flyer wire. Wait, Captain, what's that?
Flyer wire?
Yeah.
You're at Fairchild Air Force Base and you don't know what a flyer wire is?
Is that like where the comm squadron goes around and flies?
No, well, WIRE is an acronym because we love acronyms so much in the military. We had to create another one. It stands for Week in Review Email, and it looks backward at the last week, some news stories and highlights, and it looks forward to the next week or so at the events that are coming up and announcements that you need to know. So if you've got Fairchild announcements on auto-delete, those of you out there who do, you know who you are. Un-auto-delete that because there's some really useful information, and you're not going to be getting 10 to 15 Fairchild announcement emails a week anymore like it used to be. So you'll get the flyer wire, and it'll be great.
Things happening at Team Fairchild. We've got Holy Week at the base chapel. You want to take that away?
Holy Week. Holy Week is coming up. That's right. It's the Easter season, and there are a lot of events happening at the chapel for the different parishes there, the Catholic parish and the Protestant parish, as well as other groups. Religious groups have other events going on as well. So if you got questions about what's coming up, you can look at the latest Flyrewire email. Has the full schedule of events for the chapel, and you can also give them a call at 247-2246 if you'd like any information about the services coming up for Holy Week.
All right, thanks, Captain. Speaking of Easter wabbits and Holy Week and all that good Easter stuff, next Saturday, there will be an Easter egg hunt that kicks off Month of the Military Child with the show time of 10:15 a.m. in the football fields across from the fun spot. Call the Red Morgan Center at 247-1800 for more information.
Then following that Easter egg hunt, the Month of the Military Child events will continue with free events for youth of all ages at the fun spot from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And there'll be food, drinks, face painting, bouncy things, inflatables, if you will, bowling activities, and prizes. So give the youth center a call at 247-5601 for more info about that. No registration is required, so just show up and have a great time.
Thanks, Captain. And also coming up is the Lilac Festival Golf Tournament. Since we're in the spring and the outdoorsy mood, let's talk about golf.
Yeah.
No, not disc golf, Captain.
Wow.
That was last week. Anyway, so this week we're talking about the Lilac Festival Golf Tournament, like I said. It's happening on Saturday, May 9th from 2 to 8 p.m. at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. Spots are filling up fast, so call the Spokane Lilac Festival Association at 509-535-4554.
What's up with Coeur d'Alene? I mean, I understand that's like a French word, but I don't think I could live there because I don't know that I'd ever learn how to actually spell Coeur d'Alene, which I think is why you see a lot of people just put CDA now. Like if you're on Craigslist or something and it's located in Coeur d'Alene, you'll just see CDA because they don't want to learn how to spell that.
That whole area kind of have that French theme going on. There's a humongous lake just north of Coeur d'Alene. It's pronounced, from what I understand, Lake. See, I always get it wrong. See, it looks like it's Pend Oriel, but it's not. It's like Lake Pend Oreille. That's really how it's pronounced, Lake Pend Oreille.
Why can't they just spell things the way that they sound?
Moving on to your news, we're going to light it up now with the first story of the day, dealing directly with tobacco use.
Yes, pun intended.
So, the Air Force updated its tobacco use policy. Some notable notes about the new policy. The previous AFI allowed DTAs, and DTA stands for
Designated Tobacco Area.
Thank you, Captain. The Air Force previously allowed DTAs within recreational facilities and complexes. That is no longer the case. In case you're wondering what a recreational facility is, that includes athletic fields, running tracks, basketball courts, golf courses, beaches, marines, and parks. Yes, beaches. Just in case you were wondering, we do have a lake here at Fairchild. It's called Crystal Lake. It's just not on base. It's
actually called Clear Lake.
It's what? See, I'm always confused.
It's definitely Clear Lake.
Clear Lake.
Clear Lake Resort.
Clear Lake. It's not really clear though. It's more crystal. It's not really. It's more green. But anyhow, moving on. Tobacco use is no longer prohibited in professional military education, professional continuing education, inter-service training, and other Air Force Institute of Technology schools. They changed the prohibition from, quote, during school duty hours to, quote, while in uniform.
So basically you're saying that nothing's really changed because you're going to be in uniform the whole time you're at school during duty hours. Unless, of course, you want to change out of uniform during your 15-minute break and do one of those crazy Superman uniform changes like we did at officer training school.
What?
They used to make us change out of PT gear into ABUs and then back and forth like 30 times in a night, and we had a minute and a half to do it. We got really good at tying our shoes and blousing our boots.
That sounds like fun.
Pants. Yeah, it wasn't.
I was going to say, said no one ever. Got another one in. Continuing about tobacco use. Tobacco use is still 100% prohibited on the medical group campus. Tobacco use is also prohibited in personally operated vehicles while occupied with children under 14 years of age. Security Forces is not to be the enforcer for this, so...
This is an integrity thing.
Also, we could get some of those, what are they called? Vigilantes.
So you need the people at the gates as you're rolling out with like the little orange vests that hand you the don't drink and drive things and make sure your seatbelt's buckled. Now they're going to be making sure that if you're smoking in your vehicle that your occupants are over the age of 14. So I don't know how they're going to do that. You're going to carry their birth certificates around as proof?
Well, all of military dependents, they have dependent cards, so they may be checking
all of
your...
them.
What age do kids get their dependent cards?
For those who live off base, 16.
We lived off base, and I had a dependent card when I was 9.
Wow, you win a gold star.
Yes! I like gold stars.
Either way, it's an integrity thing. If you got kids and they're under 14, just do the right thing. Follow the AFI and, do what you can to keep them healthy.
And protect your kids. No one likes secondhand smoke. There's also interesting fact here. The advertising for all tobacco products, including any advertisement for non-tobacco product or service in which a tobacco product is visually displayed, shall be prohibited in all official Air Force print and electronic communication. So basically, the base newspaper can no longer support those kind of ads.
So there's a but here, and not just a cigarette butt.
But nah.
The military exchange and commissary are not Air Force service facilities. So they do not fall under the same rules. However, special events in the service facilities that promote tobacco use are prohibited. So they can advertise, but they can't have events like cigar night.
Well, we used to have that at Kunsan all the time. Cigar and whiskey, that was it. Yeah, at the club on base, they had cigar and whiskey night. All the old fogies would come out and drink their hoagies.
So you're saying, wait, hoagies?
Isn't that what they call cigars?
Stogies?
Stogies, that's it.
Hoagies are like sandwich rolls.
Like a Cuban.
And I don't think those are banned.
No.
Save the sandwiches.
The importance of terminology, folks. The importance of terminology.
That's right. Use your dictionaries.
I am from Montana. So anyway, don't write up the Exchange or the Chopette or Class 6 or any of those places in your ICE comments for having tobacco advertisements.
Social media.
Are you safe?
Dun, dun, dun. So as most of you guys have probably seen, there's been a lot of news reporting on a list that ISIS has released with the names, addresses, photos, and other personal information of about 100 service members, many of which are Air Force. And so the group has claimed that they hacked official DoD servers and got this information, but what they're actually finding is that most of these people had this information available on various social media sites in an open forum. And so the moral of this story, besides the fact that ISIS needs to go away and stop threatening us because we're not going to give in, but the moral of the story is that you guys, all of us, especially military members, need to be careful about what we're putting out on social media. So, like, you get on the classifieds, Fairchild Air Force Base classified Facebook page, and, hey, I got this thing I'm going to sell. Why don't you come pick it up? Okay, what's your address? Oh, my address is blah. Don't do that in the open forum. If you need to get somebody your address and you trust them, go into the private message or get their text number and shoot it to them that way. Because if you put it out there in the open forum like that, it's out there, and anybody can grab that.
Also, a fun fact about that open forum, the moderators do ban people who put out personally identifiable information, even in that Facebook group.
Well, that's good for them to do that. They should.
Well, they try.
So the Air Force has put out a official statement regarding this ISIS targeting of military members, and they said this: the Air Force Office of Special Investigation is coordinating with appropriate federal and local authorities on this matter. We have taken the appropriate steps to make sure that everyone impacted has been notified. As always, force protection is a primary concern. As such, we are encouraging all airmen to ensure privacy settings on online/social media forums are adjusted to limit the amount of available personal information. As it relates to personal social media accounts, we are encouraging personnel to remove personal details such as physical addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers. As always, vigilance and force protection considerations remain a priority for commanders and their personnel worldwide. A strong emphasis is always placed on ensuring the appropriate operational security and force protection training occurs and procedures are in place.
That was a mouthful.
That was.
But for more information on how you can protect yourself and your family on social media or wherever, visit the Fairchild public website. That's www.fairchild.af.mil. Navigate to the public affairs page, and on the top right-hand corner of that are links to great information on how you can lock it all down.
So speaking of adjusting your personal security settings, one thing that I had happen, I had a friend at my last duty station, and this guy traveled all over the world and made all kinds of friends. And I mean, he had like almost 2,000 friends on Facebook, and he friended me. And I didn't think about much at the time, but then I realized that if my settings are on friends of friends can see my posts, that means that 2,000 random people from all over the world that I have no idea who they are, or what they're like, or what affiliations they have with certain organizations can see my stuff because it's on friends of friends. And I think that's something a lot of people don't consider when they're looking at their settings, because like, oh, my friends are friends, I trust my friends, they have good taste. But that may not always be the case. They may not know everybody that they're friending. And so the thing about that social media web is that once you're in there and things start getting connected and you start seeing, like, do you know this person? And you're like, man, I haven't seen that person since my childhood. How did Facebook know that I had any connection to them? And it's just crazy how all this stuff links together. So it's very, very important to make sure that your settings are really where you want them to be. And especially now with these different threats and, you know, the FBI coming out a few months back advising military members to really tighten down their personal settings as much as possible and just using it for personal communication. Now, we want to tell our Air Force story, don't get me wrong. I mean, we shouldn't run and hide because of this stuff. But at the same time, we should be smart about it and just do a personal assessment of how much risk you're willing to accept.
Despite all this seemingly dark hour talk, we're doing good downrange, and we're making a difference. Just listen to this headline if you don't believe me. Afghan President Ghani
Sure.
thanks U.S. military for work and sacrifice. He visited the Pentagon on Monday to thank U.S. troops and veterans who served and sacrificed in Afghanistan. About 850,000 service members deployed to Afghanistan between 2001 and 2014. More than 20,000 were wounded, and 2,215 died fighting America's longest war. It's a rare pleasure, he says, to be with you today, to say thank you on behalf of a grateful nation to people in this building and the larger U.S. community who have sacrificed continuously since September 11th to bring us freedom and hope.
And one thing, too, that we also want to put out there is it's not just those who were wounded or died. It's it's all of those who went over there and sacrificed by giving time away from their families. And, you know, we know of people that have been over there 10 times and served 6-month deployments over and over and over. And it's just a huge sacrifice and a huge strain on families and on relationships. So for all those of you who have served, we really appreciate all that you've done. And for those of you who continue to serve and will serve, we say thank you as well.
Now, on a lighter note, let's talk about what's happening in Spokane this weekend, starting with Captain. You want to do it in 60 seconds this time?
Yeah, let's see if I can do it.
All right. Local adventures in 60 seconds. Captain, take it away.
All right, NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championships. So Washington State University and the Spokane Veterans Memorial Arena has been selected to host one of the 4 regional sites for the 2015 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship. This is the 4th time in 8 years that this has happened. So that's happening March 28th to March 30th. And you can contact the Spokane Arena by going to their website or calling them at 800-325-SEAT. And want to also talk about Washington Trails Association at Knothead Trail, Riverside State Park. So you can join the Washington Trails Association for a day of trail improvements and maintenance on the Knothead Trail in conjunction with Spokane County Parks and Riverside State Park. There'll be a 3/4-mile section of the trail being built to reroute the existing trail off of private land and onto state and county land, and to get a few more good vista points over the Little Spokane River. This will be happening March 28th and 29th from 8:30 to 3:30, and it's a free event. It should be, since you're going to be volunteering your time. You can go to Riverside State Park website for that. And then Clue, the musical, fun-filled whodunit musical mystery based on the board game by Parker Brothers. There's been a murder, and with over 200 different solutions, you help solve the crime. So follow the clues with 6 quirky characters, famous murder weapons like the rope and the knife.
The candlestick.
The candlestick. It was the candlestick. It was Mrs. Scarlet in the atrium.
In the atrium?
Was the atrium actually one of the things? I don't know.
I think it was a library.
Library, maybe. All
classic.
right. So in any case, that's happening March 27th, 2015 through April 12th. So there's a few dates in there that you can try to get in there. It's $27. Contact Spokane Civic Theater at 509-325-2507 with any questions.
Or visit their website.
That was probably more than 60 seconds, but
It probably was. It was probably like your standard 5 minutes.
it was so informative that you didn't even notice.
Woo! That's the boom, folks. Informative. And emotional.
I'm tearing up because that's all we got for today.
That's all
I have
we've
to say
got.
goodbye. So tune in next week to fuel your connection with
The Boom.